Full coverage tips or full covers, most often and commonly referred to as Gel X. However, Gel X is the brand name of a full coverage tip line by the brand Operate, are the answer anytime you need a quick service to take someone from short nails to long nails fast. And for this reason, they've become the go-to option for celebrity clients, special events, and also when nail techs want to fit extensive nail art into their service. There are two ways to apply full covers. One way is the OG way that the Operate Gel X brand introduced, and that is by applying the tips all the way up to the cuticle area. The other way is to apply the tips approximately 2 millimeters away from the cuticle area and then blending and overlaying the new enhancement. This is the method we'll be breaking down in this video. Now, while the concept of applying full cover tips seems easy, if you've ever given these a try yourself, you know they're not as easy to apply as they seem. In today's video, I want to go over 5 mistakes that make this seemingly easy process a challenging one instead, so that you can get on to applying full cover tips fast and easy. Hey there and welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Paola of paolaponcenails.com, and in this channel I talk all things Japanese gel, natural nails, and having a low stress, successful nail business. If you'd like to continue growing with me, then at the end of this video, do consider subscribing. Mistake number 1, mixing too many systems. And for that reason, today's brand choice is going to be the Kokoist Gelip system of full coverage tips. Now, I'll have you know, I don't use full coverage tips like all the time. I may use them if I have a break or a broken nail and I want to quickly fix them right. On clients, unless we're doing nail art, this system allows me to like jump right into my nail art rather than focusing too much on structuring and giving the nails length and all of that. And maybe you've heard gel tips, right? Like these are gel tips. And the reason why people say that is because these products do have rubbery ingredients in them, and before they form the plastic tip, it is you can say a resin or a liquidy material or a gel-like material that then transform into these plastic tips. So it's up to you if you want to call them gel tips. I don't think it's totally off balance to say that, right? It's up to you. Sometimes we want to just have a quick talk and be able to reference something really quick with like quick words, right? Like hype words. So if you call these gel tips, that's fine, you know, but just know that at the end of the day, it forms a plastic. Gel is a plastic. Okay, let's make sure we all understand that and not get hung up over them. Okay, with that being said, these particular ones are an ABS plastic. It is chemical resistant, so you won't see any sort of like white marks when you treat it with alcohol. And it's also flexible, so it's shock absorbent, so it bends with the nail. So we don't want to mix too many brands because this system of doing gel nails, so the full coverage system, needs to properly cure in a curing unit. So you need to make sure that you know that your gel base is going to cure properly with your curing unit. You need to know how thick, how thin, all of that. You need to know whether you need to prep these or not. Again, we don't want to mix too many systems. That is one big mistake that you are going to just have to figure out what went wrong, why, at what step, and all of that. So choose one brand and move on. Mistake number 2 has to do with sizing incorrectly. So real quick before continuing on, I wanted to let you know that starting March onward, I will be taking off the first Sunday of the month from posting a video episode here for you. As you all continue to support my educational programs, a big thank you, by the way. Things over the years have gotten more busy for me, and I'm also filled with all sorts of creative ideas and overall up-leveling changes to help independent nail stylists thrive in this world of nails. If you're curious what's coming up next in our educational schedule, the next thing is our very popular Kokoist online certification. If you're interested in this certification course, you can start signing up to the waitlist for it using the link down in the description box below. And to never miss anything in our schedule, make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter. You get first dibs at everything. The link is also down in the description box below. So sizing is a matter of fitting the nail tip on the natural nail comfortably. And it actually doesn't matter if there's a little gap up here. So it won't matter if there's a gap on the side, but it will matter if there is a gap on the free edge. So let's just show you what that can look like. So for me, I'm usually like a 0 or a 1 on my thumb. Let me try a 1. Okay, so you'll see the number down here. Also, the Kokoist Gelip brand has this case here, which allows you to open one slot at a time so that you're not contaminating your sizes, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually seen any other brand do that, so that's pretty unique to them. So here is our Gelip, and we want to size it. And again, just with gentle pressure, just by holding it lightly there, we want to make sure or see whether it fits snug on the nail. And so it does in my case, and we're only going to be going like about 2 millimeters, like right there. If we go too low with our full coverage tips, the way we're going to be doing, which is the gel overlay method, then you're going to start getting a nail that starts kind of curving downward, and we don't want that. I mean, maybe your client does, so just make sure you check in with them. Okay, so another thing that's really cool about these tips, and that pertains to sizing correctly, is that they are thin here in the back. So sometimes they might conform to your customers or your own nails pretty nicely. Like you can see, like this is more square, and it fits on my nail more square, which is nice, right? So I could, if I was in a pinch, if this was just for me, if it was for an event, if it was for my customer, if my customer is maybe like a celebrity client and you know we got to put these on, then I probably would just push it here towards the cuticle area and cure it, right? But in the salon, what we want to do as professionals is that gel overlay method so that these nails fit and wear seamlessly on the natural nails or the client's nails, so that they feel like their own, right? Also so that the customer can feel like, okay, you put some effort into their nails, right? The process. You didn't just glue on nails and called it a day. Now, there might be occasions again when you do that. For example, if you have a lot of nail art to get to, then you might want to just push it up against the cuticle area, cure, and move on to the other steps, right? But for the most part, salon services should be that gel overlay method so that you can fit seamlessly that tip onto the nails and they just blend in nicely. Again, you do you, but that's just my opinion. Here we go, it fits nicely. So the beautiful thing about these is that you can actually roll a curve into them and it will still fit nicely here. It won't compromise the width of it, like it won't be too small now all of a sudden, because you're just narrowing this area down. Okay, so there you go, like so. And now you would just hold it and it's going to allow for a little pocket underneath for you to use sufficient gel to fill that in. Another thing with sizing, you might have a client that has nails that go upward, as we call them ski jump, right? What I would recommend is that you fill that nail in or that valley with your gel. So Gelip Bond has got a thickness for you to use it as a builder gel also, okay? So this I would consider a builder gel. I have actually worn this as a builder gel overlay and it has held on strong on my natural nails, like not with the full coverage system, again, just as a builder gel overlay on natural nails, and it lasted. So again, if you're trying to condense the amount of products that you're using, this can be a little bit of an all-in-one, where it has like a base and builder. You can do it for gel overlays, or you can do it to use it to adhere your full coverage tips. Again, stay within the system. I'm not saying that this is the gel for all full coverage tips and it is the gel of, you know, adhesion gels for your full covers. Just pick one, stick with the brand. Mistake number 3 has to do with using the incorrect amount of gel. So the incorrect amount of gel can be you used too much and now it's seeped out. So prior to developing this product, this particular brand used a their gel base as the adhesion gel, and it was a little bit thinner, so you had to really have more control over your gel, because if you use too much then it would quickly run into the sidewalls. So this now has a little bit more thickness, and again we have a featured product that we are going to be talking about for adhering, so that you don't actually ever have to worry about the mess. But now you know that this can be used also as the adhesion gel. Maybe you're wondering, are you going to cut the nails, or should you cut the nails before you apply the full cover? The answer is up to you, but I will tell you why you may want to, and that is because you will have to use more adhesion gel on the tip to get it on there and get it to attach, right? So look at the amount of adhesion gel you're using. Having length can help if you're gonna wear like the really long nails, right? And you expect to get at least 3 weeks of wear of that. I would use the length of the nail as more surface area to attach to, but if you're just going to be using this length, I would cut it back because you don't need too much surface area for it to attach. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and put a gel base on my nail and then bring you back. Okay, so my base is applied now. As you can see, it's fully cured, and I went ahead and trim my nail bed. And now I want to introduce you to the latest release from Kokoist, which is called Gelip Mochi. So Mochi is a putty type gel that you can use to adhere your gelips or your full coverage tip, and you don't need a lot of this product. You can use a metal spatula tool to put it on the tip, or you can put it on the nail. Before we do that, we want to clean the underside of our tip. Now, a lot of people may be concerned with the fact that these are maybe too smooth, or that is the reason why these are like popping off or not lasting or whatnot. But I will tell you that for me, really the culprit is the curing unit. If you don't have the proper curing unit, a good quality curing unit, or the unit calibrated to work with your system, then you're just going to have pop-offs, and you're just going to see usually this pop off from the gel, the adhesion gel. So give it a good cleanse. Again, I'm using here 90% alcohol. And if you're wondering, why is a gel like this important? What difference does it make? So having a putty-like gel matters because it's not going to overflow to the sidewalls or out of the tip so much. You still need a little bit of control, but once you set it on the nail, it will stay put, okay? So let's go ahead and go about applying this. So because this gel is hard to overlay, like you really cannot maneuver it with your gel brush and even a spatula, I'm gonna go ahead and use the scoop method. So I'm gonna use the actual tip to scoop a little bit of gel out, just a little bit. And I'm gonna create, as we would with other gel, I'm just gonna wipe it here on my glove, a sort of like a wet layer. So I'm just gonna apply it like halfway through, and then just bring it out. This is going to help the next layer of gel self-level really nicely, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and grab somewhere around twice as much, not just a little less. This is a wide nail, so you will need a lot of gel. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe the excess here. You can wipe it on a palette too, but that's just so I don't have any of that spill out, okay? All right, and now I want to press it over the amount of gel that I applied, around there. Notice I can release and it stays put. That's what makes this such a tool. Okay, now you might have spillage, but don't worry. Go ahead and press the rest of the amount out. Like so. And this is why you want to use gloves, okay? Notice now that it's on there, I can move it around without an issue. It's really, really nice. And notice how it doesn't seep out from the tip either, the free edge. I can squeeze it out a little bit more. It waits for you. The only thing you want to make sure always is that the free edge is nice and thin there, that there's not a big gap underneath of your gel product. You decide, again, if you, depending on the splish, if you want to leave it as is, if you want to clean it up, or when you leave it as is, you will just have to clean it with your e-file. And I'm not going to worry about this area. I just want this area here so that I'm not trying to dig it out or drill it out, you know, in such manner with my e-file. So just cleaning that up a little bit. Again, look, I haven't touched it again. There are no bubbles. It stays in place. This is really fun. Okay, make sure it's only about 2 millimeters or less away from the cuticle area. And when you're ready, go ahead and cure that. Mistake number 4, not properly prepping the nail tips. Now, prepping is going to be totally up to you as far as what you want to do. So for this enhancement, you've already learned that you can just clean the underside with 90% alcohol and you are good. Sometimes people also like chemically etch it by taking a bonder and scrubbing the back of it with it, so like a primer before the gel, and they do that on the back of the plastic tip. Sometimes people take a arbor band or sanding band and etch the inside of the nail too. Again, in my experience, that can definitely help, that will, but that's more steps that you're taking to apply these, and these are supposed to be like a quick service. So it's just up to you. If you have the time, if you want to take those extra steps, that's fine. For me, the culprit is actually mistake number 5. If you're experiencing pop-ups, then you gotta listen to this. Ultimately, the biggest culprit in your full coverage issues or troubleshooting is going to be the curing unit. Mistake number 5 is using a low quality unit. Now, if you are using a brand that is kind of like very rookie, very newbie kind of thing, you might end up with a low power unit. But if you're using a professional grade lamp, these manufacturers, these professional brands, take precautions to make sure that their system is calibrated, and by that I mean that the curing unit cures their gels properly. So that for me is worth peace of mind, and is worth investing and sticking to 1 or 2 brands, because you don't need to play R&D in your studio. The research and development has already been conducted in the manufacturers. They've paid the big bucks to figure out how their system works the best. So that's my advice to you, to consider using a professional grade brand or a very high quality brand if you have access to maybe like one in your area and not to another one, right? Just find the best that you can afford, stick with the same brand, and don't just buy a random cheaper unit. Well, it's not going to, you know, give you a long wearing service, because you need this to adhere to the gel to then adhere to the natural nail. And if you don't cure the gel underneath properly, then you are going to be left with undercured gel in between that plastic tip and the natural nail, and having undercured gel will lead to allergic reactions. Now, once we've taken note of all of the nuances and mistakes that make this process a challenging one, and you've had a successful application of your full coverage tip, it is now time to overlay the new nail. To do this, you want to use a gel that has a little bit of viscosity to it. And since I don't want to introduce too many brands into my application, as we've already covered, I'm going to choose something within the Kokoist line. To ever so slightly overlay my application, I want to use either Gelip Bond, Nail Dots Clear, or Filler Base. I'm going to go with Filler Base, as this base matches the hardness of the full coverage tip the most. It is important to know that when you're overlaying the full coverage tip, you are not necessarily overlaying this nail to give it strength, although it will gain a bit of strength, but you're overlaying it rather to blend the nail tip to the natural nail. That is the goal, and that will mean we are merely looking to overlay the back end part of this enhancement and not trying to create any sort of supportive apex on it. We're not trying to structure on it. So go ahead and fill in this nail, and your enhancement will be ready for nail art or color application. I hope today's video has helped you achieve a fast and easy application of your full cover tips and overlay them effortlessly with your bottled builder gel.